In today's video, I'm going to be talking about using Styrofoam to make the landforms on my layout. Now on this particular project, I'm using white Styrofoam, the beadboard, as opposed to like the pink or the blue like most people might be familiar with when doing landforms out of Styrofoam on your layout. So I'm going to discuss that. It's a bit of a controversial topic within the model railroad community. So I'm going to kind of discuss why I chose to go with the white in this particular project. Hi friends, my name is Steven and this is my channel Signal Up Productions, where I make videos all about trains. So I'm going to go through the different video clips that I recorded while I was doing the landforms and demonstrate how I'm using the hot wire cutting tool to cut the landforms and then getting it all shaped to be these really nice rolling hills. Before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, then click that bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new video. Why don't we take a closer look at the finished product, and then we're going to jump into the clips that I recorded a while back and discuss the different ways that I use this technique to get the rolling hills just the way that I like them. I've used both white and pink Styrofoam for different layout builds in the past. They each have their own benefits and drawbacks. The pink is more dense and better suited as a track base. If you're using Styrofoam directly to support the track or scenery without any plywood underneath, then definitely go with the pink. It is, however, more than twice the price of the white foam at the time of making this video. It's also a little slower to cut with a hot wire cutting tool. Since my layout has a plywood top, I didn't need a strong foam board to support any weight. So I started by laying out some 1-inch thick white foam board, and then I cut it to the basic size with a utility knife. Then I stacked up the pieces of Styrofoam around the layout until I had a basic idea of what I wanted the hills to look like. I glued the stacks together with Woodland Scenic's foam tack glue. White school glue would have worked as well. I didn't show it here, but I placed some weights on the Styrofoam while the glue dried. The next day, I placed some buildings into position. I traced an outline of the base of the building onto the Styrofoam. I love using this cutting tool from Hot Wire Foam Factory for cutting Styrofoam. I've got both the wire cutter and the small knife cutter. Here's where you can let your creative juices flow. Just start cutting the foam. Slice it here, dice it there. Start shaping the contours the way you would think the hills would look after years of erosion or cuts and fills from when the railroad was built. Don't worry about getting the foam completely perfectly smooth. We'll take care of that in the next step. Hot wire tools work by passing an electric current through a thin wire. It heats up the wire and basically melts the foam. If you pull the cutter too fast through the foam, it's going to distort the wire. If you pull it too slow, it could melt a large gap in the foam. Experiment on a piece of scrap before you go on doing the layout and kind of just get the hang of it on the piece of scrap foam. This wire tool actually has a flexible wire. You can shape it prior to turning it on, and this would allow for a variety of concave and convex cuts to be made in the foam. At this point, I went ahead and covered my track with some painter's tape. It's not completely necessary at this point, but since I was going to start on some other scenery anyways afterwards, I didn't want any of the foam or stuff getting on the track, so I just went ahead and covered it with tape now. I'm just using some cheap sanding blocks from big box retailers in their paint sections, and I use that to kind of smooth out any of the imperfections from the hot wire tool. This part's going to be messy, but it's going to be messy, honestly, with any color of Styrofoam you use. But that's what vacuums are for, and cleanup is real easy with a vacuum. You just pass the vacuum over the area. It's going to take care of any of the little bits that clung to you, clung to the layout, the floor, your spouse, the family dog, and anywhere else. The goal is to end up with gentle rolling hills cut into the foam without much, if any, plaster. If you look at this finished scene, it's all just foam. foam base, some brown paint, and then the static grass glued right on top. It makes for very light sections of layout, especially if you're going to have something built for portability. Alright, I'm actually running kind of late for work, so I'm going to make this outro pretty quick. That's how I did the styrofoam, and that's why I used the white in this particular project. So hopefully this gave you some ideas. If you want to tell me that I did it wrong, by all means leave a comment down below. And tell me what kind of styrofoam you used when you did the landforms on your layout. Maybe you didn't use styrofoam at all. Maybe you did the more traditional method of plaster on plaster cloth or screen wire or something like that. Let me know in the comments below. Be sure and share this video with your friends. And I got to go make a living, so I'm going to talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.